Hi, I'm Jim Gordon.
I'm Lita Leapins.
And welcome to another edition of Our City Tonight.
Well, we're here at Hydra in the Cabana Lounge, where we love to start the show.
We like to eat their food, too.
And drink their cocktails.
That's great happy hour. But first, let's get to Our City Tonight.
This wine moment is brought to you by Ricasoli, a journey of nearly 1,000 years in Chianti Classico, Tuscany.
Well, it's always a thrill for me when I can talk to a winemaker whose name is on the bottle. And that's what we have here. It's a great pleasure. I'm very excited to have you, sir. I'm a big fan of your wine. It's Francesco Ricasoli. Now, you say it differently.
Ricasoli, but
Ricasoli.
It's important to pronounce it anyway.
Yes. First of all, welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you, Jim.
Talk about the history of this great wine, iconic winery that has your name.
Well, we go back to the Middle Ages, and so my family has been owning this piece of land. By the way, we are in Tuscany. We are in between Florence and Siena. And historically speaking, we were always linked with Siena, especially in the most important moment during the Renaissance, when the Medici had such a power. You know, Florence was the banking capital of Europe, and my family was allied with the Medici and was defending the southern border against Siena, although we are much closer to Siena.
Yeah. And for people who have not been to Italy, that part of Tuscany, I love Siena. I know everybody wants to see Florence, but Siena's beautiful.
Fantastic. Awesome.
You have been guiding this ship, this winery, I think since 1993.
Correct.
Can you talk about some of the challenges that all wineries face? I mean, there are things that your parents and grandparents and ancestors didn't have to be concerned with. Can you talk about the challenges that all wineries, including yours, face?
Of course. My family got to be famous because one of my ancestors, Bettino Ricasoli, that besides being a very important politician for Italy, because he was prime minister in 1861 when Italy became the country we know it today, and he was also the one that wrote down the rule of how to make modern Chianti. Fantastic man.
Right.
And I always remind myself, though, that great traditions are the ones that are dynamic. So his traditions were very different from ours. So we have to update these traditions. And this is what I did since 1993.
This is a remarkable story. Let's tell our viewers about these three fantastic wines, starting with this one right here.
Well, this is the backbone of our tradition. Our appellation is Chianti Classico. So we have a perfect example of the three categories of our appellation. We have Chianti Classico, Chianti Classico Riserva, and Chianti Classico Gran Selezione, that is the top, the pyramid of the quality of our appellation.
And your wines are available worldwide, available here in BC, British Columbia, yes?
Yes. We are in, I believe, in around 70 countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big operation.
Yeah.
Talk about where you see the future going. Do family members become part of, the children that come up, do they become part of the business? Is that expected?
Yes, of course it's expected. I think that we have a bright future in front of us. You remember the times, Jim, when Chianti was paired to, the fiasco, the very weak wines and so on. Those times are gone. Today, there is a renaissance even in our wines. I mean, the one of Chianti Classico.
Yeah.
The reputation has been growing a lot. Our most important grape variety, that is Sangiovese, is making delicious but also very elegant wine with great character.
That's a good point to bring up, that Chianti has had a renaissance, has it not, right? Because it wasn't always looked at the way it is today. Yeah. That must be great news for you and your family that it's come to that.
Well, we are part of this renovation, absolutely.
Let's tell our viewers where you're at ricasoli.com.
Yes.
And whereabouts, and can people come to, you've got a beautiful, we're looking at some visuals right now. Your winery is spectacular, but people can come there and dine, they can sample. Yes?
Well, we have, we are in the middle of nowhere, so you need Google Map to arrive. But when you're there, it's fantastic. On top of the castle, when you look south, it's like, diving into a Renaissance painting with a beautiful nature, untouched. Yeah. Fantastic. Besides that, we have a small museum. And then we have the restaurant, a vintage bar.
That's right.
A vintage bar. And then, of course, tasting room and so on. And the visitor can walk around the vineyards. Everything is open, so it's a beautiful place, at least to spend one whole day.
I don't want to scare you, but if I show up there, I'm spending more than one day there. I'm going to spend like a week. Hey, it's been a great thrill to have you here, sir. I'm a big fan of your wines and what you do, and thank you for stopping by to see us.
Thank you, Jim.
Cheers.
Thank you.
This wine moment was brought to you by Ricasoli. Centuries-old tradition, contemporary excellence.
This segment is sponsored by the Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.
Jennifer Robertson, our local star, is a SAG Award-winning actress, writer, creator, and performer. She is best known for her role as Jocelyn Schitt on the Emmy Award-winning series Schitt's Creek, although she also stars in the Netflix hit series Ginny and Georgia. When the second season debuted at #1 with 180 million hours watched in its first week, and now it continues to be #1 in 64 countries around the world. And I know I'm not allowed to ask you when, but you are starting the third season.
Very
I love
soon.
this show.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, we're going to start with that.
Okay, let's start with it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit.
We're going to be back. We're going to be in Willsbury. We're going to be, we're going to do spoiler alerts because it's been up for so long. Season 2 ended with Georgia being arrested at her own wedding.
Yes.
So I guess we're going to see what happens. I haven't seen any scripts. I don't even know.
Wow. Or you're just saying that.
I know, I really don't.
We can't even ply you with alcohol.
Can't even, no. It's just straight vodka and I will reveal nothing.
Okay. Well, it's so great to have you back on the show. It seems like forever. And since then,
Yeah.
I know you've been super busy. And I have to read this. You were the host of a very incredible show on CBC and CBC Gems, the Great Canadian Pottery Throwdown.
Yeah.
Now, oh my gosh. You say you don't like making the pottery, but you're a big pottery fan. Tell us how this even evolved.
Well, I don't know if I haven't tried making pottery. I made one pot with one of the judges when we shot, but I have always loved pottery. It's kind of this thing when I get a big job, I would buy a piece of pottery the way people buy other things to commemorate a thing. So the old publicist from Schitt's Creek called me and she was like, Jen, they're doing a show about pottery. And I told them you were interested. I'm like, I'm so interested. And so I basically hounded them for months and then auditioned and made them. I think I forced them to hire me, to be honest. But
We're glad you did, or they did.
Yeah.
Is this your first reality?
no, this is my second reality show.
Okay.
I did one about 10 years ago called Canada's Handyman Challenge. Apparently Canada always has to be in the title if I'm doing a reality show. And that was a fun one too. It was like handy people from all across the country, and to get in, you would make something from a single sheet of plywood. But people made like foosball tables and bicycles and like, yeah. So we did a couple seasons of that. I was not as passionate about home fix-it as I am about pottery, so.
Okay, so, well, it's just interesting. Do you actually have a hobby like that you could turn into a reality show?
No. It's all funneled into showbiz. It's all acting and writing. And people are like, things on the side, I'm like, more acting and writing, I think. I'm not that crafty. I would like to try pottery this summer. Would like to try.
You don't seem very
But it's so much
convincing.
harder than it looks. Everyone thinks you just throw it on the thing and whoop, you make a vase. And I did a thing on the wheel and it's a lot harder than it seems. It takes a long time to build the skill. The potters on the show are amazing. They make very cool things in very short amounts of time.
And the show is available on CBC and CBC
CBC and CBC Gem. The whole season's up now. So
Fantastic.
if you go like, I'm gonna watch that, you can watch all of them now because they're all up. We just had our finale last week, so.
Oh, wonderful. Well, people love to binge, as you know, especially with Ginny and Georgia. And I know that I binge and I'm like, what the heck? Come on, third season. And so now you're telling me it's coming. That's great.
It's coming, it'll be a wait. We gotta shoot it and they gotta put it in like 100 languages, but it's coming.
Tell us a little bit about your connection to Granville Island.
I used to take acting classes there as a kid, and so did Seth. Seth Rogen's one of the executive producers and a guest judge on the show. And so in the first week, we were just all kind of hanging out. I mean, Granville Island in the summer, it doesn't get any better.
No, it's fantastic.
And everyone comes in like, I could live here. And you're like, it does rain 260 days a year. Like, never mind. But it's so beautiful in the summer. And the bunnies are hopping around at the end of the island. And you go to the market for lunch. And yeah, it was just Seth and I were like, we used to go to acting classes right there, both of us when we were kids.
That's
so it
very
was really
cool.
special.
And of course, I have to ask, how was your connection with Seth? Like,
He's great.
yeah.
He's a lovely guy. He's very chill. He's obsessed with pot. So he is a potter.
Oh, okay.
That's
Good to know.
how the interest in the show. It's a franchise of a British show. So
Yes,
there's
yes.
the Great Pottery Throwdown that's gone for like 8 years in the UK. So he was a fan of that show because he's a potter, and he wanted to get it made and thought it would be really special to do it here in Canada. And he's very good. Actually, the judges were like, oh, a celebrity who says they can do pottery. And then they're like, it's actually pretty good. I was like,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So as we wrap up, anything else you can share with us that you got your fingers in,
My
your
fingers
toes
in.
dipped
Heading,
in?
yeah, I mean, heading to go do Ginny and Georgia soon. I have a fun guest star coming up on So Help Me Todd, which is shot here, but it's a CBS show.
Yes.
And just, keeping busy.
Good.
Keeping busy, keeping out of trouble.
We like seeing your face on TV for
Hey.
sure. So keep
Hey.
busy, and we'll have you back, of course,
Thank you.
whenever you like.
Okay, great. Always fun to come.
I know. Jennifer Robertson, again, we're going to make you a regular on
Okay.
our City Tonight.
This segment was sponsored by the Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online. Sponsorship and other promotional considerations provided by Bosa Foods, authentic Italian, with 2 locations to serve you better. More information, go to bosafoods.com.
Well, about a month ago, we were filming at a cocktail event one night, and we heard a very gifted guitarist just roaming through the room providing music, and we all said, we got to find out who this is and get him on our show. We have done that. Of course, he was recently in one of our columns in the Richmond Sentinel. We did a little spotlight on Lenny Pallerstein, who joins us right now. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
It's a great pleasure to have you. We always like having musicians on, but it's always great to promote somebody up and coming and local. And I got to tell you, folks, the night we were filming, we all said, boy, this kid has got great talent. Let's talk about what you do, because you do something called fingerstyle guitarist playing.
Yes.
Explain to our viewers what that is, because that's something you took up about 5 years ago after playing the guitar for quite some time.
Yeah. So fingerstyle guitar is essentially where I play all the parts of a song simultaneously on the acoustic guitar, because I'm not a singer. You don't want to hear that, believe me. And yeah, that's essentially it. Just
And watching you play that night we all watched you, you took up the guitar at 12 out of sheer boredom.
Yep. Yeah, I had nothing to do, and my dad had a guitar laying around, and he would play, so he showed me my first chords, and I enjoyed it a little bit. I dabbled, but I never practiced, but I kind of took it from there a little bit.
I mean, taking it up at a young age, always great, but when does it become one of those things where I want to make a living at this and I want to practice every day because I love it, it's not work?
That came so much later.
Okay.
All throughout high school, I was known for never practicing. I would have instructors, and they would always be disappointed in me, and my dad would always be complaining that I'm not practicing enough, and I just didn't enjoy practicing. It was later in life, as an adult, when I was 18, I was at Langara at the time studying subjects that I didn't care about at all. And that's when I decided, hey, you know what, I love music so much and it's only growing, and started practicing hours and hours a day, and went to music school, and here we are, still going.
And making a living out of it, which is not easy in this day and age. do you update your repertoire, your playlist? Because you really had a nice mix the night we heard you. You did a version. What first caught my ear is one of my favorite songs from the '80s. Is "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears. I looked around, and went, is there a wandering group of musicians playing? And that again, the style that you do, you really had a nice mix, including that song, which was just fantastic.
Oh, thank you, man. That's one of my favorites as well. So,
good to hear. Good.
I update the repertoire list constantly, but a lot of the time it's still updating it with classics from back then, from the 80s, from the 60s, from the 70s. Things that are timeless, things that people still enjoy.
Yeah.
Things that came out a few years ago tend to die off now. So I tend to stick to the classics, things that I grew up listening to.
Yeah, there was a good mix of new and old, new and classics, I should say, not old. But let's talk about where people can find you. You're very active on social media, and you've got a really good website. So for people that may be looking to hire you, and look at this young man's stuff, it's fantastic. Where can people find you?
So my website is at lennypallersteinguitar.com, and my Instagram is at lennypallersteinguitar as well.
He's all over town, folks. Restaurants, lounges. You get a lot of people complimenting you on how well you compliment weddings, events like we were at, corporate events. So look for this guy around town, and look for him doing his thing in the closing credits of our show. Lenny, thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Here at the Cabana Lounge in Hydra Restaurant in the Exchange Hotel. And, well, this is the first for us. This guy to our left, your right, has been on the show a bunch of times. He's in that category leader. We've said this a few times this year of guests who have been on the show 4 or 5 times, I think. This first time where we haven't been at your place.
I know I've lost the home field advantage this time. So
you
guys
kind
are
of
gonna,
crashed the party.
I did.
Scott Thompson is here.
Tried to hide. I found you.
Scott Thompson of Mad Lab Distilling, our favorite mad scientist, and we're so excited to have him back here for many reasons, but in particular, you have your whiskey that is been born.
Yeah, so we've been obviously working hard at creating our single malt whiskey, which is, it's a very challenging product to produce. It takes a lot of time and effort to kind of get you there, and we've actually managed to pull a couple of awards this year, which is great. We got some gold medals, some silver medals from Canadian Craft Spirit Award and the Canadian Whiskey Awards. We're just so thrilled that people are receiving it well, and it's being positively enjoyed.
Scott, it's interesting because you've been up against big brands, which that's a tough thing, and you've won massive awards, but in the craft arena, you've won all the golds. So I've tasted this before, and I wasn't a big whiskey fan. I think you've turned me.
You know what, and that's the thing is that whiskey, it's one of those things that can be really a scary thing to approach because it's kind of expensive, it's a little bit intense, it's all these things that people are a little nervous to kind of dabble into. But once you kind of especially if you have somebody to kind of guide you through the journey a little bit, where to start, where to enjoy, and being able to try a few different things to find where your flavor profile and what you enjoy really is going to be.
Speaking of that, okay, mister, we are going to definitely try this batch. Tell us about this batch a little bit.
So this is our 7th release. This one won us a gold medal in the Canadian Craft Spirit Award and a silver medal in the Canadian Whiskey Awards this year. So we're pretty happy with that result. I'm making a mess.
Oh, that's
why,
okay.
Lays the table here, actually.
This is why you guys don't invite me over here too often. I'm always destroying everything.
Okay,
but no, this is a beautiful double wood aged single malt whiskey. No smoke or no peat to it. Very clean, nice caramels and vanillas. But yeah, this is and all ex-bourbon, American white oak barrels, everything made 100% BC malted barley, and yeah, we do everything in our tiny little facility.
Wonderful.
What was the last time I saw you was at one of the BC liquor stores. You were showcasing this to the average customer in the store that day. What was the reaction you were getting? I loved it. I stayed way too long looking at some photos
The bouncers
here.
had to throw you out there. It was
someone had to finally escort me out. No, I'm kidding. But what was the reaction? You won some awards, but the average Jane and Joe on the street, what were they thinking?
People are always surprised with something that's made locally in Vancouver, in BC, from such a small producer. And also, it's a fairly young whiskey. This one's only got a 3-year, 42-month age statement, so 3.5 years. people are always surprised at the development of the flavor, the smoothness and the softness and character of it in such a short period of time. But when a small producer has the time and time to spend that care and attention on each individual barrel and each individual blend, each individual bottling, we really can kind of bring out those beautiful flavors and just make sure we're only putting what we love in the bottle.
This is made with love, and I know it's always a limited release, so I always encourage people to get it now. My gosh. You also, I have to mention, make really, really incredible regular bar gin and vodka, but exclusive premier gin and vodka as well, and we love them all.
Yeah,
It's
thank you.
pretty amazing.
People can find these brands, of course, in a lot of stores, liquor stores. More information. They can actually, can they come down to your where we film many your
You can come
home
down,
office, so to speak?
You can come down. It's a pretty small operation, so I always recommend people give me a shout before you come down. You can hit me up on any of the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, at Mad Lab Spirits, or just contact through the website. I'm always pretty quick to respond to people, so if you send me something, if you're outside the door banging on the door, shoot me an email, and I'll probably be quicker to respond that way than.
We've tried the banging on the door thing, folks. You
gotta bang loud.
He doesn't respond as quickly that way.
Awesome.
Hey, congratulations on this, Scott, and it's great to have you out of the studio, your studio, so to speak. Cheers. This is lovely. It's Scott Thompson from Mad Lab. Look for this.
Distilling.
Cheers.
This wine moment is brought to you by Costa Brown Winery. Costa Brown, obsessed with Pinot Noir.
Well, we're excited to be for the first time on our show at one of Vancouver's premier restaurants, Blue Water Cafe in the Yaletown area. A lovely place to come check out. And of course, we're now in a room called the Cellar Room, where they have great events, great dinners, great parties. And I am joined by the winemaker of Costa Brown. It's Julian Housepian, who's the winemaker. Welcome to our show and welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Great to have you, sir. Of course, you're making the rounds and seeing some of the places that bring in your wine. We'll get to that in a little while, but let's talk about your wine. And I want to talk specifically right now, one of my favorite types of wine is the Pinot Noir. Talk about what makes your Pinot Noir so different and unique from other Pinot Noirs in California.
Well, that is a good question. We've got an incredible history, albeit short, not more than more than 25 years, but a very, very rich history of creating wines of extraordinary quality, elegance, intensity, power. And so, when we're making Pinot Noir, we're trying to capture the essence of California. And California is a unique growing region in the world. Of course, within California, there's lots of different regions within the state, so each of them kind of show the grape and express the wine slightly differently. So, we're making wines that are we strive to produce wines of the highest quality, and that's been our goal since day one in 1997.
Of course, in any business, consumer tastes change. With your Pinot Noir, has it changed at all over the last 20 years, or has it remained the same? Has the owners taken a different direction?
Well, they say the only constant is change. So in some ways, I think that a lot of Costa Brown's wines have remained the same. We're very, very true to our original style, which is true to the terroir of California. But at the same time, there has been inevitably small changes to the winery over time that has, contributed to a slightly different product. But at the end of the day, our core style has not changed at all, and we're proud to produce wines from California.
It's interesting. One of the questions we find ourselves, Alita and I, my co-host, asking when we talk to people like yourself that we wouldn't have been asking, say, 15 or 20 years ago, even though it was known then, is climate change and how it's affecting your business and how you do your business. Now, with of course, Pinot Noir grapes and Chardonnay grapes flourishing in cooler climates. Talk about how you are combating and addressing that.
Yes, so climate change is definitely impacting our operations, but we have one distinct advantage is that we are located really, really close to the ocean. And so in a way, yes, we're dealing with some extreme, climate conditions such as every once in a while we'll have like a 3-day period of really extreme heat, but at the same time, we have the ocean on our team. And throughout the growing season, that really helps mediate the severity of some of these weather events because it's always there for us and we have that natural air conditioning that even on the hottest days the cool air starts to come in 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. And that's a very, that's our saving grace.
Let's talk about the town. I had to ask you where it is located, Sebastopol, and you tell me it's one of my favorite areas that I didn't realize was there, that Santa Rosa area. How has that area helped in the ability for what you guys do?
Sebastopol was, or is, I should say, a perfect growing area for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Pinot Noir and Chardonnay both like cooler climates. And to touch back on the coastal influence, the fog is our saving grace. It can still get quite warm, where it's a relatively warm area. So the daytime highs can be a little bit on the warmer side, but every night the cool fog cools down the region, and that helps slow down the growing season. It slows down the maturation of the grapes. And in the end, that combination of relatively warmer conditions during the day, cooler nighttime conditions makes for a very unique environment to grow Pinot and Chardonnay.
I want to kind of wrap things up here by talking about you being here in Vancouver, and of course our show is seen across Canada. Your wine is available here. They obviously like what they're seeing and tasting from your wine. What is part of what you need to do when you're up here? And let's talk about where people can find your wine.
Yeah, well, winemaking and selling wine is they're actually two very much different things, right? I mean, winemaking is a lot easier than selling wine, so it's really important to get in front of people and to tell the story and to show the passion, because, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of really good wines out there, and by being present and by expressing and telling the story in your own way, that helps the folks that are on the floor that are guiding some of the guests through the different selections and what to choose, and with every extra touch point that I might have or my colleagues might have, that's just going to help enforce our story and our product, and so today and this week what we're doing is we're going and visiting some of our top accounts, and we're just trying to help enforce our message and to showcase our new wines and to be here to answer any questions that they might have, and really to do anything we can to help them and give them the tools to help promote our wines at the same time.
Julian Halsapian is the winemaker at Costa Brown, costabrown.com. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
This wine moment was brought to you by Costa Brown Winery. Costa Brown, obsessed with Pinot Noir.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. We hope you enjoyed watching.
Yes, and here comes summer. We're heading that way. We'll have lots of great stuff coming up this summer. But from Hydra in the Cabana Lounge, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins.
See you on the next edition of Our City Tonight.
Don't forget to check out past episodes and individual interviews, all on the Our City Tonight YouTube channel. The Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.